entrepreneur, motivation, inspiration, and some words of wisdom to the Somali community about how we can start supporting more entrepreneurs. So I run 2 businesses. The first business I run is called Omad. It's a global business consulting firm, an entrepreneurial development company. And my team and my consultants, what we do is we design and we deliver entrepreneurial development programming from around the world. So right now we operate in Ottawa, South America. Inshallah, this year we'll be expanding to Dubai and Australia, serving different communities and expanding our programs to these places. The reason why I started this was because my entrepreneurial journey has been really long. It's been really rough. Me being Muslim, Somali, Black, a woman, I really liked what Muhammad was talking about institutional racism and all of the factors that come into having to start a business. I, by all intents and purposes, shouldn't really be doing what I'm doing. I really believe that it's the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and my persistence, my stubbornness in a lot of ways that has allowed me to be able to do what I'm doing. So as I said, I design programs for people from underserved communities, and the reason why is because when I was starting my entrepreneurial journey, these are companies that I'm running now. I've run more companies before. I couldn't find the funding. I couldn't find people to take me seriously. I couldn't find the mentors that I needed. I couldn't find entrepreneurs that understood me. I was really alone. Everywhere I went, I was really alone. And I'm going to share a story right now. It was inspired by Muhammad actually. The only person who knows this story is my best friend, but I'm going to share this with you guys because I think it's really important. A couple years ago, I was trying to get my business off the ground. I had an online media company and I said, I'm going to do it. I just need to do this. I had no one to look to. I had no one to support me. What I did is I found an accelerator program in Toronto. It was very well known, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and go apply for it. I got through the first round of interviews. They liked me. They invited me down. Because I didn't live in Toronto and because back then I didn't have much money, what I had to do was I took the 1 a.m. bus on the Greyhound here, got to Toronto at 6 a.m. and waited about 2 or 3 hours for my interview to start at 9 a.m. I went through my first round of interviews. They liked me. They invited me back. Second time, about a month later, I went back for my second interview. You go up and you pitch your idea. Just to give you an idea, you go up and you pitch your idea in front of investors, in front of other people, so that you get acceptance to an accelerator program. And what accelerator programs do is they allow you to start your business. They give you the resources, the advice, and the money that you need to start. Second time I went, it was completely different. I was in a room. It was full of all white men, full of 2 women. I went up, I pitched my business, I told them my business plan, I told them how I was going to execute on it. What happened in the next 30 minutes was something that completely defined me, and it's why I have the business that I have now and why I started focusing on our own communities, because we really need this help. Those 30 minutes, I had all of the men in the room, white men, proceed to rip into my idea. They weren't really ripping into the idea itself because the idea had a really sound business plan, but they had a problem with me. They didn't really say that, but I knew when I left, completely crying, I was in tears. I felt like my whole life was collapsing because I was putting everything on being able to get this accelerator program, move to Toronto and start my business. I had no support in Ottawa. I couldn't do it here. But when I was leaving and I was sitting at the Greyhound station, and I opened up my notebook and I said, I need to process what just happened right now, because they didn't reject me because of my idea. They rejected me because of me. And I got this overwhelming feeling that the reason why they did that was because I was Muslim. They couldn't handle that. No other Muslim woman had walked through the door. No other Black person had walked through the door. The questions they were asking me were not appropriate. And one of the guys at the end actually came up to me and apologized because he knew he had done something wrong. But all of that had an actual purpose, and the purpose was that I realized that our community needs severe business development help. We need help to start supporting more entrepreneurs, start building wealth into our own communities, and to stop looking outside our communities to support ourselves. So, that being said though, my business, my venture focuses on entrepreneurial development for women. I look at marginalized communities. I focus on the Islamic economy. The Islamic economy is growing twice the rate of the regular economy. It's $2 trillion. Muslims have no idea about how much power is in their actual hand. They spend $2 trillion a year. Most of that money is not going to our community. It's going to bigger corporations, mostly led by white people, people whose money is not coming into our own community. So my vision for Omad is to eventually open up an incubator and to open up a co-working space to start supporting supporting high growth entrepreneurs, people who need the support instead of having to go into these kind of third-party institutions to support ourselves. my other vision is to support the creation of a center for innovation entrepreneurship in the Islamic world. The Muslim world has very poor enterprise development. I used to live in Egypt actually, and that's where I initially got the ideas, because we're not even, forget supporting actual institution building, we're not even having any proper way to properly pipeline and to funnel all of the talent we have here and to convert that funnel into wealth. The second company that I started is called Qurtuba Publishing. We started a couple months ago with my sisters. We were sitting around, we were thinking to ourselves, why is there a lack of diverse publications, Islamic publications on topics that are really relevant to contemporary Muslims? Why aren't there books on anti-racism? Why aren't there books on mental health? Why aren't there books on leadership and entrepreneurship? Why aren't there books on topics that are relevant to the contemporary Muslim? So we decided we were going to go ahead and produce those books ourselves. What people don't know is there's a lot of Islamic knowledge that's being held back from coming into our communities. If you look at your house, the books that you have, they're only produced by a handful of publishers. And most of those publishers have a political agenda. And so therefore, the translations of the Quran you read, the books that you have to ask yourself, where are these books coming from? Who are they coming from, and why are they producing them? A lot of the media that we read, the foods that we shop from, the foods that we eat, they're controlled by a small group of corporations, probably about 5 or 6. All the news channels you watch are all, controlled by a group of small corporations. And they dictate how you live, how you think, what you eat, basically all of your interests and how you live your life. So it's really dangerous. What we're trying to do is provide much more of a diversity in voices, signing authors, and trying to create a diversity in the kind of authors that are able to publish their books. One of the things that we're specifically doing is changing the Muslim narrative. Big part of the Islamophobic rhetoric that exists today. The Islamophobia, I think, is like a $75 billion industry. They make money from demonizing us. And a big part of that is because we don't have our own channels to talk about our own accomplishments. People can say Muslims are anti-science, they can say Muslims are anti-this, but how do people know about what we think about leadership? Why aren't we thought leaders? Why don't people know that we're thought leaders in science and in medicine? Muslims are thought leaders in all these areas, but they don't know because we're not producing those books. We're not producing that literature, right? So coming to my entrepreneurial journey, it has not been easy at all. It's been a really long and lonely journey. I took years, it's been about 7 years for me to be able to get to this place where I'm able to live a life, alhamdulillah, all glory be to Allah, where I can travel, I wake up every single day doing what I love to do. I'm able to, stand on my own 2 feet and, do what I love to do and really work with some incredible people from all around the world. But again, it took a really long time to be able to get here. I've had 3 or 4 companies fail on me. I had dozens of people tell me no, people telling me that I'm following an illusion, people don't know what I'm actually trying to do. I've been severely discouraged, specifically by the Somali community. I really do hate to say that, but it is true. The people who have had the biggest obstacle from are the people around me. But for any entrepreneur, whether you're Black or whether you're white, the people who tend to discourage you are the people closest to you first, which is a little unfortunate. But I wanted to kind of give you guys some motivation and inspiration for anyone here maybe who is interested in starting a business. Maybe you are interested in, you have a vision in your head about an idea that you want to start, maybe an organization that you're interested in starting. So I'm going to give you some advice. The first thing I would say is entrepreneurship is not about money. A lot of people think that starting a business is about money or being an entrepreneur is about money. It's not. There's a lot easier ways to actually make money than to go ahead and be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is somebody who has a vision and they build an institution to solve that problem. That's what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur at their core is a value creator. They're people who see a problem in the community and they go ahead and solve it. So one clear example is the Awakening team. They're entrepreneurs. They might not say that, but they're entrepreneurs. They saw that there was a lack of a platform to share Somali stories and to discuss Somali issues, and they went ahead and created that. So that's a very entrepreneurial act. It's not about money, but it's about solving a problem. The first thing is, to be an entrepreneur, you need to have a passion, you need to have a vision. By all intents and purposes, you will be kicked down. As a Black person, as a Muslim person, there's a lot of people out there who are banking on you not to succeed. And you have to be able to have such a strong vision and to have such a strong passion that no matter what anyone says, that's not going to bring you down. Or like Kauthar was saying, about having grit and having stamina. The second thing is you have to have determination. A lot of people will tell you no. Investors will tell you no. Customers will tell you no. Organizations will tell you no. Investors will tell you no. Your family and friends will tell you no. being an entrepreneur is having that vision and being determined to go through every single obstacle. The third thing is working on yourself. And what I mean by that is, to be an entrepreneur, to be a business person, you really need to focus on finding all the answers from within you. You can't look at other people to give you answers. Our institutions, our schools, the government teaches you that you need to find some sort of validation outside of yourself. The truth is, to be an entrepreneur, you need to realize all of the answers are within you. And that's not an arrogant statement to make. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you to have everything that you already need the moment that you were born. And you need to be able to tap into that. So working on yourself means that you study rigorously, you take classes, you take courses. There's no one that's going to hold your hand and tell you what to do. There's nobody that was holding my hand the last 7 years. I had to just figure out what to do and just take the next step. Number 4, and this is something that Kauthar also mentioned, which is believing in yourself. I've mentored entrepreneurs from all over the world. I've traveled and I've even remotely mentored entrepreneurs. And the one thing that I tend to find amongst people of color is a severe lack of confidence in themselves and in their ideas. And like Muhammad Ali was saying, it could be colonization. People tend to say, well, I don't have the talents, or I'm not good enough, or why me, or they just don't believe in themselves. And it's something that's actually very scary, because to be successful at anything, the first thing you need is to be able to believe in yourself. The way I look at it is very simple, and it's a Steve Jobs quote. The world that was created, that you see around you, this auditorium that you're sitting in, the city that you're living in, it was built by other people who were no smarter than you. I don't believe anyone is smarter than me. I don't believe anyone's better than me, and I also don't believe I'm better than anyone else, and I also don't believe I'm smarter than anyone else. You just have to believe that everybody was created on an equal footing in some sense, and you have every ability to shape the world around you. You just have to believe that you can do it. So just some words of wisdom to close off for our community, for people who are parents here, for people who are community leaders, maybe people who aren't necessarily interested in entrepreneurship, is that we really do need to encourage entrepreneurs more. I know that we have a dichotomy in our community of doctors, lawyers, engineers, and teachers, but I'd add another one, which is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are wealth creators. Our communities, I'm hoping that the next generation, they're not going to have to go to other people to get funding for their business ideas. They're not going to have to go to other community organizations to get mentorship. They're going to look to Somali entrepreneurs for the money that they need, and for the mentorship that they need and the education that they need. We need to be able to have self-containing and self-sustaining communities. And the only way we can do that is being able to create the resources where everything is for the entrepreneur. Now, the negative outside of that is that we lose a lot of talent. I don't even know. We have no way of even measuring our entrepreneurial talent. We have no way of measuring how many great people we have in our community who just got really frustrated and just stopped, right? I think, subhanAllah, I just had a vision that Allah just had a reason for me to do what I was doing. And I'm thinking all the problems that I went through is to help make it easier for other people. But I'm also very concerned about the amount of talent that we're losing, the amount of human capital that we're losing to other communities, to other organizations, to other corporations, people who could be making our communities wealthier and stronger and much more resilient, because we're not supporting them at the beginning stages when they're the most vulnerable. Especially for female entrepreneurs, because they're just generally not as supported. Here's a statistic I'll give you guys. For venture capital, if you wanted to start a business and get funding, do you know what the percentage is of women who can get funding and black people who get funding next to white people? 3% of all of the capital that's available goes to women, 1% goes to black people. You know the reason why? Because we don't have black investors. We don't have community leaders who have money who are working in these firms. We don't have people who are actually starting firms. And so then we're at the mercy of everybody else. And just imagine all of that wealth, all of that money, all of that talent that's leaving our communities. So that's why it's really important to support entrepreneurs for wealth creation, and also to support the next generation of change makers. And at the same time, we need to start encouraging entrepreneurship as a valid career choice. In the next 10 years, the world is going to need 600 million jobs. 70% of jobs come from small firms and medium to small enterprises. They don't come from corporations, they don't come from governments. People think that that's where jobs come from, but that's not where they come from. They come from people like you who decide you have an idea and you want to start serving your community. And so entrepreneurship, with the rapid rise of technology, with the global competition, with jobs being outsourced, we're going to need to start creating jobs and solving our own youth unemployment from within our own communities. And that means if you know somebody who's risk-taking, who's enterprising, who's creative, support them. Tell them it's okay. Tell them that they can do it. Don't discourage them in any way. no matter how grand or how crazy their idea sounds. So just to leave kind of an idea for you guys and some words of inspiration and motivation. If you are in this room and you do have an idea and you do have a venture that you want to start, an organization you want to start, the only thing I can tell you is to just do it. There's no other piece of advice I can give you. Just do it. And I'm available here for anybody who wants to come and talk to somebody. Maybe you haven't had support, come and talk to me. I'm open to hearing anybody who have any creative enterprising ideas or looking to figure out how to get started, what the next steps are. And inshallah, thank you guys for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Kasoda dale nulko yal dulura ne kasoda dale Bad kasoda dale nulko